All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started so that we keep everybody running on time. It's really great to see you all again this afternoon. And welcome. Again, my name is Linda Bachman, Dean of Students. How was lunch in the View? 2 thumbs up. How many people got ice cream cones? Yeah, we got some folks who are going to go back down. Those are a favorite of the students, to see them walking out with their soft serve every day. Well, we have kind of the tough time slot because I know people just ate and it's afternoon, so we will try to keep this engaging for you. This is a session I really enjoy as a chance just for us to talk with you as parents and loved ones of our students. This session is designed to talk with you about how departments across campus work to support your students, but not just your students, how we work to partner with you as parents and loved ones to support your students. So I have some colleagues here today to help me do that, and I'm going to start off by letting you know who is up on stage here. So we'll start with Father Blake.
Thank you, Linda. Father Larry Blake, Director of Campus Ministry.
Zach Dubois, Director of Public Safety.
And I'm Marlon Blake. I serve as one of the Assistant Dean of Students.
Thank you, Marlon. And we like to frame this conversation this afternoon by introducing our university convictions to you. Most people are familiar with at least part of our mission statement, and it's the piece around preparing students to leave our university to go out to advance the common good. Well, that mission statement is framed by our convictions. You see them on the screen: academic excellence, dignity, diversity, faith and reason, gratitude, personal attention, and the pursuit of truth. And I think you will hear these convictions ringing through as you listen to my colleagues this afternoon. So to get us started, I'm going to actually show a really short video. Ka Yang could not be with us this afternoon, so she filmed a welcome video for all of you. Ka serves as our Associate Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. So I'm going to kick off by introducing you to Ka.
Welcome, students, parents, families, and friends. I am so excited your family made the decision to attend St. Thomas. You are joining a university community committed to creating an inclusive and welcoming campus. Our campus is enriched by the diversity of our undergraduate and graduate students who learn and live here. We welcome students from a wide range of cultures, religions, and socioeconomic backgrounds. Students who are part of the LGBTQ+ community, and students with differing abilities. The diversity of our students, faculty, and staff strengthens our campus community. I hope you will encourage your students to stretch out of their comfort zone and get to know students who come from backgrounds different than their own. Our diversity provides our students the opportunity to experience differences, discover commonalities, and learn from each other in the journey toward graduation and into the ever-diverse 21st century workforce. As a Catholic institution, our mission calls upon us to advance the common good and to uphold our convictions of diversity and human dignity. The Office for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion that I oversee is charged with institutional leadership in diversity, equity, and inclusion at the University of St. Thomas. We listen, we engage, and partner with university offices to meet individuals where they are so that all students can feel supported to strive for their highest potential. The university is committed to a culture of inclusion and belonging for all who live, learn, and work in our community. Thank you for being part of the diverse fabric at St. Thomas. Welcome to the Tommy community.
All right, so again, that is Ka Yang. And I think, Ka obviously is giving a message around our commitment to inclusion at St. Thomas. And as you listen to my colleagues this afternoon, I think that commitment to inclusion, you will hear that in the work we do each and every day with your students. So I would like to introduce, again, Father Larry Blake from Campus Ministry.
Thank you, Linda, and welcome to this afternoon's session. When I think about campus ministry, I think about the three words that you see in bold print on the screen: connect, encounter, and live. I'd like to say a little bit about each of those, and I'll begin with the word connect. It's really important for us that your student knows that we value who they are as an individual, that we provide personal attention all along the way on all of the activities that we promote through campus ministry. And some of those are particularly important to our first-year students. For instance, the first week that we gather, we have a block party up on the North Quad, right there close to Tommy North and the other resident halls in that part of the campus. Later in September, we'll do a first-year retreat for all first-year students, and we welcome them to register. They can do that online, actually, right now. And we'll take them off campus, give them an opportunity to connect with others during that weekend before they return to campus and resume their studies. We know that it's critically important for our new Tommies to make those connections during the first month, and so we do our utmost to see that that happens. The second word is encounter. Part of the work we do is in working with your student to help them encounter the various and diverse religious traditions we have on campus. It's perhaps no surprise, or shouldn't be a surprise, that there's a priest in campus ministry at the University of St. Thomas. But we have a very diverse staff. We have on our staff a Muslim chaplain who works with our Muslim students, gathering them for Friday prayer, helping them to prepare for the important season of Ramadan. We do iftar meals for them, and we end the celebration of Ramadan with Eid. All of that Dr. Shire does along with the students who work with her. This afternoon, actually just after this meeting, I'll be meeting with a young woman who's part of Minnesota Hillel. That's the Jewish young adult organization at the University of Minnesota. And she's been hired to be an outreach staff member to the campuses here in the Twin Cities, including the University of St. Thomas. So I'm looking forward to meeting her and helping her to learn more about our campus. And finally, we have, we're just posting a position for a new Christian pastor. We've had others in the years gone by. They've all gone on to do other things. So we're hoping to fill that position this fall as well. And finally, to live. Our goal is that your student would deepen their commitment to their own faith tradition and live out the core values that are important for them, not only today, but carrying them forward into their young adult life. So connect, encounter, and live. That's campus ministry. And here's my good friend and brother in the faith, Marlon.
The other Blake. His name is Father Blake. I'm Marlon Blake. So my name is Marlon Blake. I serve as one of the assistant dean of students. And in my role, I have two primary functions. One of those is that I serve as, I oversee our care team on campus. And that care team is made up of a bunch of different individuals from around campus. And my role is to make sure that students who are having a challenging time at our university, if that's academically, socially, housing, food insecurity, etc., my job is to make sure that those students feel supported and have an action plan for success. The other part of my role is that I serve as our parent and family liaison, and my role is support parents and families who are supporting their students on their journey. So my job is to make sure that all of you have a person you can connect with if you have a question or concern about supporting your student. So with that being said, we have a vested interest, just like you do, in your student success. We want to see them walk across that stage at the end of their time with us at St. Thomas. And so with that being said, we don't use a cookie cutter approach when we're working with our students. So when we think about personal attention, working for the whole student, my job is to make sure that students feel supported and how they want to be supported and how they need to be supported. And so for me, for some of your students who may come into our office, they may have a concern, and it'll be simply pointing them into a direction or sending them a follow-up email about a resource on campus. For some other students, that may be an individual meeting they have with myself or someone else in our office or another colleague on campus. But at the end of the day, our role is to make sure that that student is feeling supported in the ways in which they want to and need to be supported on their journey. And again, our work is grounded in our mission and convictions here at St. Thomas. Now, with that being said, there are also limitations that come with this, right? So when you think about the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, also known as FERPA, we're limited in what we can tell you about your student and how they're doing. So if you went into your student's high school and you asked them, how is my child doing? They would have gladly told you how your child is doing, right? If you call me or call any of my other colleagues and you say, well, how's my child doing? I'm going to ask you, well, did you talk to your student, right? 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, if we're being honest, your student already has the answer to what you want to know. You just didn't ask them in the way in which they wanted to be asked, right? So I think it's important that probably not on the car ride home, but sometime between now and when they come back, you probably want to have a conversation about how you would like to receive information from them. So for some of you, that may be a daily conversation. For some, oh, he said no. Mick said no. No, not daily. Okay, Mick is no on the daily, but once a week, once every 2 weeks, it could be once a month, once a quarter. I don't know what works for you and your family, but I definitely think it's important for you to have a conversation with your student about how you would like to receive information. Again, we appreciate you paying the tuition, but your student already knows what you want to know. You just have to ask them in the way that they want it to be asked, right? So with that being said, one of the resources we offer to help you along that way of having conversations is our Parent and Family Handbook. So outside this door, you'll find some QR codes of our Parent and Family Handbook. Inside that Parent and Family Handbook, there are prompts of questions you can ask your students around alcohol, socializing, mental health, et cetera, et cetera. So we provide you with prompts in which you can ask your student around some of these difficult conversations. Also in that Parent and Family Handbook, you'll see on page 37, 38, somewhere in there, there's a list of numbers of resources of different offices on campus. So inside of the Parent and Family Handbook, we offer resources to you if you need to reach out to someone on campus. The Parent and Family Handbook is in English, Spanish, Somali, and Hmong, and so it's translated into other languages as well. So if it needs to be read in a different language, it can be read into those languages as well. But I really want to emphasize communication is going to be key. So I encourage you before your student returns for us for welcome days that you talk to them about how you would like to receive information from them.
Thank you, Marlon. I'm going to just build off of the conversation prompts that Marlon was talking about and encourage all of you, perhaps make an ask of you to consider another conversation with your student being what it's going to mean to enter college, growing into being a young adult, and enter into spaces of conflict and how there are different ways to resolve conflict. And I say that from a lens of encouraging your student that at times they will have uncomfortable conversations as a college student. They may have probably what we see the most of first year is roommate conflicts. Not a surprise to anybody. It's a lot to enter into a space with some of them may know their friend, think they're going to be great roommates. I know a ton of stories where that worked out and sometimes didn't work out. And students who are going into room with students they don't know, where it works out just beautifully. But all of those scenarios, at times there's likely going to be conflict. And We want you to encourage your student, if they are calling you to talk to you about an issue with someone in the hall, on the floor, their roommate, to first say, well, have you talked to that person about your issue? Because what we are seeing more and more of is students, I'm getting calls from parents, Marlon's getting calls, and we'll say to a parent, well, has your student talked to this person yet? Have they approached the conflict? And the majority of the time, the answer is no. They haven't talked to him yet. Or the parent might think the student has, but by the time we talk to the student, we find out they haven't even talked to the person yet. We'll help coach them on how to have that conversation, but we're not just going to fix the problem and for instance move a student. So a lot of this is about we need to help them learn how to start navigating differences and conflict. So we ask for your support in that also. And in the Dean of Students office, when I talk to students about what happens in the Dean of Students office, and I say, what do you think of when you think of a Dean of Students on a college campus? Without fail, most of them say, well, that's where you go if you get in trouble. And we like to dispel that as the image of what a Dean of Students office is at St. Thomas. The primary work that we do is supporting students to navigate questions and challenges during their time here, their 4 years at the university. So Marlon already talked with you about that. We will sit down and talk to them about absolutely anything. We will listen with compassion, and then we will help them figure out some next steps to support their success. We do also do conduct in the Dean of Students office. That is a piece of our work, and it's important that we hold students accountable to our community standards, right? You need community standards to live and learn together. The Code of Conduct and the Sexual Misconduct Policy are all available online. Your students are also getting introduced to those as they complete their online orientation modules this summer. The module around sexual misconduct very specifically also spends quite a bit of time talking about bystander intervention and how, as students are joining us on a college campus, all the different ways that we each can play a role in intervention before harm occurs. And that's not just around sexual violence, that's around harm of really many different types of harm that can occur. So we ask Tommies to look out for each other. That's part of the messaging that they'll be getting in those modules. We also really encourage members of our community to report if harm has occurred. So if a bias incident occurs, if there is an incident of sexual violence, we have both online reporting, and we encourage students to also come in and report in person to Dean of Students or Public Safety. If that happens to a student, we obviously hope it doesn't, but if it does happen, when a student reports, our first step is going to be to reach out and offer support and resources to that student. And then based on the facts and information we have university processes that ensue. When it comes to the process around student conduct, what I'll let you know, because I like to be very transparent with people, if we get a report of a code of conduct violation, then we have a student conduct process that is based in an educational philosophy. So we work with students, we recognize that students are coming in here and there's a lot going on. They're developing autonomy, right? They're figuring out what it means to be more independent. They have a ton of choices in front of them they likely didn't have living at home. They're trying to figure out their values and who they are becoming in this world. Sometimes people fall, trip, make mistakes in that process, make some not the best choices all the time. We know that. And so we support them in developing them, hopefully, to make better choices. So if a student goes through the conduct process, you won't know about it, right? That's also protected by FERPA. It's part of their education record. The point at which you would become aware is if a student were to go on conduct probation, and that is, if they go on conduct probation, due to an incident related to alcohol or drugs, and they're under 21, then we do establish contact with parents or guardian. And I want you to know that that is very rare. So I need to tell you that, but it's very rare. It's not like we have a bunch of students walking around this campus on conduct probation, all right? And if they do reach that level, you can be rest assured that some good conversations happened prior to that point, where we worked with the student and tried to help them examine what was going on for them and make some better choices. All right, so again, by far, the main work that happens in the Dean of Students office is just supporting your students in so many different ways. And yes, we also do student conduct. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Zach Dubois.
Thank you. I'm Zach Dubois. I'm the Director of Public Safety here at St. Thomas. I have a PowerPoint slide, just kind of go over a quick overview of kind of the things that public safety does, offers, and resources available. If you have any kind of questions or want me to go in more detail, I'll be here afterwards and you can talk one-on-one, or if you want to ask as a group at the end, you can also do that. First thing I want to start off with is that public safety doesn't close. We're open 24/7, 365. We have a full-time dispatch staff, so if you call one of the two numbers listed up on the screen, you're going to get a hold of somebody. There's two different numbers. There's a general phone number, so if you need like an escort, a non-emergency call, it can be even something that maybe public safety wouldn't deal with directly. It could be, 2 a.m. and my toilet's overflowing. I don't know what to do. I need help. I need assistance. You can call the general phone number. We're able to get a hold of people after hours, during the regular hours, or if it's not something that we're going to be dealing with directly, we can also transfer you to facilities, residence life, or something along those lines of who would deal with it directly, or we'll deal with it directly through them. The second phone number on there is the emergency phone number. So that's to call if there's a medical emergency, you see something suspicious, something's going on. It could even just be something where, hey, I have a set schedule where I'm supposed to communicate with my student every month, every week. I haven't heard from them after a certain period of time, or I'm supposed to be picking them up and I can't get a hold of them. I'm concerned. You can call the 25555 number. That's a direct phone line to our dispatch, and someone should be picking it up within seconds and taking your call. And we'll send officers to the location, see if we can get a hold of the person, go to the room. We'll also make phone calls. Sometimes relationships are between parents and students become strained and they might not want to talk to you, but we definitely can follow up to make sure that they're okay. So what we want to do is make sure that we're partnering with you. And I know that public safety sometimes gets the rap of, they're just here to get us in trouble. We're there to, most of the time, we're not even responding. We're responding because we got called to a situation. It could be a disturbance call that, hey, someone's playing loud music. It could be, hey, my roommate's causing this kind of issue with me, or has drugs or alcohol on campus, or I'm on the athletic team. I can't have that stuff in my room. We're there to help resolve some of those situations immediately. And then also, the second piece is that we create reports of crimes that occur on campus, or informational reports, and that's the starting point for a lot of different kind of resources, and it gets a lot of the wheels of the university and a lot of resources of the university to start moving. One of the main functions of our job is to document incidents. So taking in that information, dealing with the situation on hand, resolving it for that moment, and then it would get passed along to residence life, dean of students office, counseling, psychological services. A bunch of academic counseling might get involved on certain situations, working through residence life and dean of students office. So it's a starting point. And the biggest thing I want to say is that all our approach is care-based. It's not necessarily punitive. We're not giving sanctions. We're not fining people. Our job is to make sure that people are safe on campus, and this is a nice stopgap measure right between, because the other option would be law enforcement, criminal record, and other stuff that happens on that. But a lot of times what we want to do is help educate these students and make them the best people, especially once they leave St. Thomas and graduate. Another piece is that we have mandated reporting through the Clery Act. So we do an annual Clery report every single year, has a lot of information on it, also has the previous year's crime statistics in it. The other piece that we have, within 2 business days, any kind of report that we write hits our daily crime log. It's published to the website, and it's also located in our office in a 3-ring binder. But that tells you kind of what's currently going on campus, potential safety concerns, and this is information to give students more information to take safety into their own hands and make sure that they're taking appropriate actions to stay safe on campus. Another thing we do is we work very closely with local police departments, fire departments. That 2555 number, if you call that and we need medics to arrive, we're going to be working with Ramsey County Dispatch and fire to respond to a location to meet them, to bring them on campus. Our campus has one general address on the St. Paul campus, so for them to get to a location, they have to know where they're going. The fastest way for that is for us to bring them there, and we can also get them into the building, and also our officers are going to be responding within minutes to location because we're a lot closer, help assist with the situation, and bring in medics. If you do call 911, I'm not telling anyone not to call 911. We do work with Ramsey County Dispatch, and they also get a prompt letting them know to contact us so we can coordinate our response with them. So the faster that we can get the emergency service here, the better. Another piece that we offer is we do alert mass notification systems. So we do community notifications, so that's a continuing threat to the campus community. We'll send out an email, post stuff at entrances to all the academic buildings and residence hall facilities, letting people know that there's a continuing threat to the campus community. It could be multiple robberies occurring. It could be something that's going to potentially reoccur so they can take appropriate actions for it. Another thing that we send out is an emergency notification. Emergency notification is when we send out a mass notification to campus community. It could be a building's on fire, or there's a gas leak, stay away from this area, and then we'll also send out all clear afterwards. It could be a weather emergency, but we're sending out emergency notification to make sure that the campus community knows there's currently an active threat on campus. We also offer escorts. On the St. Paul campus, it's about a 6-block radius around campus, and then the Minneapolis campus, it's about a 2 to 3 block radius around that campus. So we do safety escorts to and from campus. That also, the 6-block encompasses most non-resident students, or off-campus students' houses, so if someone's visiting a friend. It also includes a CVS pharmacy on Snelling, Fairview. So right in our radius, there's also a pharmacy in case someone needs to go to pick up a medication. We're also responsible in a case of an emergency to contact parents. So a lot of times in these situations, we're contacting parents because a student self-identified themselves of need of care. That could be that they're extremely intoxicated and unable to take care of themselves. A lot of these things don't rise to the level to go to like a detox or a hospital. So we're kind of in that middle area. They're not safe to go back to the room. We need to make sure that they're safe. So we were giving the emergency contacts a call, which generally is the parents. So you expect phone calls at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., because what we're doing is trying to work with you on what the next steps would be. In an ideal world would be that someone can come and pick them up, a parent or a caretaker. It could be an uncle that you say that lives nearby in case you live out of state, but you have someone nearby, that a family friend that could potentially come and pick them up and take care of them. What that does do, if we do have to take them to the care room and hold on to them for a little bit and monitor them, it takes one person off of patrol, and the more people we can have on patrol, the safer the campus is. But we also want to make sure that the student is safe. So we monitor them, work with you. If you live out of town and there's no other option, we definitely can work with you on a safe BAC level. Let's say it's under a 0.08, they're functioning, they're coherent. Maybe the next potential option is to release them back to the room when it's safe to do so. Parking services was also part of public safety. It just got split out into its own department, but I do want to touch on some key topics. First-year resident students are not guaranteed like a parking permit. It's only through special lottery. So I wouldn't expect to have a vehicle on campus. That being said, there's other services that St. Thomas does have, and that's available to students to use. There's a St. Thomas shuttle that runs between the two campuses, Minneapolis and St. Paul. There's a bike rental program through Tommies Central. There's our cars that people can rent around campus. If you do bring a bicycle on campus, I do recommend, if you live on campus, to park it in one of the inside residence hall bike facilities. Thefts have drastically decreased when students do that. If you do park a bike outside on like an open bike rack, I do recommend the cheapest bike possible and the most expensive lock possible, preferably a big, thick U-lock. Otherwise, it's a potential to get stolen is great. Walking's always an option. Parking Services also sells, I believe at a discount, Metro bus passes. It says taxi vouchers. What most students are using now is Lyft and Uber. The only recommendation I do have with that is just talk to your students and make sure that they understand to verify that the vehicle showing up is their Uber. We've had students in the past enter a vehicle that wasn't Uber or Lyft, and that's a dangerous situation in itself, so just making sure that we're verifying that prior to entering a random vehicle. We also, if the student does have a car on campus or nearby, or you're on campus and you lock your keys in your car, or it's the middle of winter and needs a jump start, we offer those too. If you have any other questions, I'll be available after. Thank you.
All right. We are at time, so I'm going to do these last two announcements in 30 seconds. You will get a family newsletter from Marlon once a month. Look for that. If you're not sure, we signed you up if we have your email. You can always go to the family webpage. It's pretty clear, I think, how to go on there and register for the newsletter. So you will hear from us on a consistent basis. And you've heard about tuition insurance and the family handbook. I will just highlight that welcome days start August 29th. Your students will be all moved in by then. We can't wait to get them on campus for welcome days. You'll hear more about move-in when you meet with Residence Life today. So we will be up front if you do have any individual questions for us. Really appreciate your time today. And again, a really warm welcome to all of you. Have a great rest of the afternoon.